people like MK for the wacky shit you can do.
Yeah.
And I like that they went back and embraced that, but they also realized that it's like, okay, we got to space out the screen and at least make neutral a thing that can be done.
Yep.
So I think they kind of split the difference between Mortal Kombat 8, 9, 10, or 9, 10, and 11, and this is kind of the best result. And a little bit of Marvel with the cameos is pretty sexy. Oh my
God. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I shamelessly spent like 2 hours looking up Kung Lao combos.
Yeah.
I sat down
on like Twitter or on like where at?
On YouTube.
Yeah.
But because there wasn't anything on Twitter, but
yep.
At least at the last time.
Wait. Officially, we have to call it X now. I'm sorry.
On Twitter.
Pop Elon has decreed.
So on Twitter, I couldn't find anything. So I sat down for like 2 hours, and I literally would just hit play, and then they'd be like, "You can do this combo." They do the combo, pause. All right, then I like write down the annotations of the combo. All right, go back, play. All right, here's the next combo. Okay, yep. Here. Okay, that's combo number 2. Okay, here's the setup. Pause. I type it out in my little notepad. Does that sound exhaustive?
No, it's kind of cool because it's like I mean, that's the old school way you did it. Yeah, you write it out and you try to figure out what they did from what they did. You know, I mean, back in the day, you know, you didn't even have someone giving you the inputs. You just had to be like, you know, okay, you had to figure out the motions for themselves by watching the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, there were specifically combo videos, and like just the amount of like one combo video just had like 23 combos in it, and it was absurd. But some of them were like pieced together parts of other combos. So it's just like, here's this string. Okay, now here's the same combo with a different string. And it's like, yes, this is a different combo, but like
its base is a different. You know what I mean? It's like Lego blocks.
Yeah. It really doesn't matter, you know, which way you kind of go about this. It's the same combo.
The route is the same.
Yeah, basically what it comes down to is like, here's your combo starter, and you're starting from a mid, a low, and an aerial, whatever, and then here's like the pieces to build that combo, and then here's how to extend it, and that's all you need to really know. And so it's good to like know combos from every different starter that your character has, and then also how to whiff punish, and then that's kind of really all you need. But really, like where MK1 gets really interesting is it's just the Marvel, like the assist combos, and
it's got some crazy stuff.
Crazy stuff. Like Kung Lao has a move where he puts you in a headlock, and then if you do an EX version, it like has a crumple, which like you have a moment to hit them or do like a reset of a combo, right? So I saw like one way where like Striker comes in and puts handcuffs on him, and then you get a free reset of a combo. And then I saw one where it's like, oh, if you do this EX move with Sonya, you get like an anti-air. It's like an anti-air, but it's also like a combo extender if you don't want to use meter. And then it kind of just became like, god damn, there's so many possibilities to playing this game. And it can be so character specific that this game's just, once people crack it wide open, like really that's where the meat and potatoes are with the assists. Like once you get the actual the character combos down, then it becomes cameos all the time.
And that's what I'm both nervous and excited about, because it's like there's a weird balance between like people bitching shit is broken and people being like, okay, that shit's actually kind of nasty, leave it alone. You know what I mean? And like, I hope they don't trip up the like, you know, the nerf everything people too early, until everyone's like, okay, no, actually this is like, it's a little degenerate, but like it's overall kind of okay. You know what I mean? Because like what I've seen lately is like, okay, that's kind of sick. Like if they're giving tons of options to everyone. Yeah. And again, that exponentially, you know, raises the complexity of the game. But as I said, if there's some good common sense rails and checks to the balance, hopefully it'll be okay. Because like right now, looking at it, I'm like, I want all this shit to stay in. It's awesome.
Yeah, like right now you can tell like the difference between high tier and low tier is going to be strictly how well the character meshes with the cameo characters. Yes. And that's going to be everything at this point. Like low level is just going to be like people figuring out their basic combos. High level is going to be like, I've got the combos down. Now it comes to like, what is it, like subterfuge? Is that the correct word? Yeah. With the with the cameo and like I already watched I watched a video the other day of like Sonic Fox being like, you know how there's like an assist character? Well, if you use Kenshi, actually you got 2 assists, and then it's like, what the fuck? You really
stuff is nuts. Yeah,
you really do have 2 assists, and it's like, who decided this was a good idea?
Oh man, and like the spirit of Justin Wong just invaded the workplace and be like, hey yo, whispering in their ear.
And
not even the spirit of Justin Wong, the spirit of what's his name, who plays the Morgan setups, man. Fucking
Chris G.
Chris G, yeah, this shit's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, because he was like doing, he was using, Darius, I think is his name. Yeah. And like he has like a move where Darius will like jump behind you and he'll do like a low and a mid, and then you have to like figure out which one he's gonna do. And then on top of that, you already have the ghost setups on the side. So it's just gonna be a crazy guessing game from what I could see. And and I think the kind of one downside to MK1 though is it still suffers from it's very much a zoning game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have noticed that, which I'm like, I the thing is there are good and bad things about Mortal Kombat zoning, because I like that there's still a game that cares about zoning. Sure. It's a delicate balance to like how much is too much and like can we tone it down? You know what I mean? And like some games have kind of figured out the happy medium where like, okay, there's a way to nerf zoning, but some games they nerf zoning too much. You know what I mean? Like I kind of like Street Fighter V solution where like most characters have a move that just passes through projectiles, because at least that's a neutral solution. Whereas SF6, other than like zoning is like nerfed in an interesting way that most things can be parried, but then of course some hyper zoners like JP can blow past it. I think that's also kind of a smart balance. But yeah, I feel like MK needs something that's like in the middle where it's like, okay, let's nerf zoning a bit just so people can get in, but also like allow it to still be like, you know, I want to feel like I'm in a fucking anime where I'm allowed to throw a fucking fireball from full screen. It's just like a game that's all fireballs from full screen is like, okay, you know what I mean? Rule of cool goes down.
It's kind of annoying that like at some points in the game though you are locked down by oppressive like zoning. That's the only kind of thing I don't really like about it is like if you want to move, there's like just times where you just cannot move and you have to just kind of deal with whatever's on the screen at the time. And you know, like there are certain characters that have like projectiles that have a boomerang effect where like they throw 2 boomerangs and then you got to wait till they both come back. And you can't press that entire time because if you do, you're going to get hit and then you get a reset. I don't like that in particular. But with that said, like, I'm sure they'll, you know, kind of...
No, I forget, because again, I never play fighting games, and sometimes, you know, I forget the exact mechanics. What does MK has projectiles, most projectiles pass through each other, right? They don't hit each other like Street Fighter?
I think some of them hit each other, some of them don't. Like they have different levels of like zoning. Like they have high fireballs and low fireballs. Yeah. And then some characters, like if it's like Injustice and you're Martian Manhunter, your fireball is an overhead.
Yeah. But I think like MK isn't big on projectile clash, so most projectiles don't hit each other, so you can't counter zone with projectiles in MK for the most part. I thought I remembered that was a thing.
With some characters you can. Some characters you can. Like
again, it's been a while. I really think I'd love it if MK, in addition to like trying to manage some of the inevitably scummy stuff that's going to come out of the cameos in the setups in the corner, because some of that vortex is going to end up being nuts.
Yeah.
They should implement something that's probably like kind of like a push block or like a hyper block. Hyper block's the wrong term, but like
they have a push block.
But like not even just that, but like it should be almost like half between a push block and half between a an SF6 parry, where like you can parry you can parry things that are projectiles. So like basically there should be a way to like limit the projectiles after a while. So like how SF6 is like, well, if you parry a projectile, you get your meter back. It'd be really interesting if there was like the counter zoning mechanic would be like, hey, after 3 successful parries, this dude gets an extra meter. So he gonna beat your ass when he gets in it, or you know what I mean, or something like that. It'd be interesting if they did something like, basically, if they added a game mechanic to lower zoning spam by like giving the person getting spammed on something. So either if that's like, you know, an armor or something else like that, it would be really interesting if they like basically souped up whoever's, you know, being zoned against by like some type of like, you time it well, you get something.
Right. So basically the game winds up either being you're either on full screen or you're right next to each other. There's not much like in between here. Like there is some footsie range fighting, but like it really feels like most of it is just like there's not really cross-ups either. I mean there is, but like the cross-ups will actually push the other person away. So like if they cross you up, it like they just go flying in the other direction. And it's kind of annoying, but I mean there is a follow-up to that, so it's just sort of like a different kind of cross-up. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not really my cup of tea in terms of like, I just want to cross up to where I'm in your face now and you got to deal with me. And I wish there was more. I do wish there was more tools to deal with zoning, and I could, you know, like I said, like, but they do have that sort of like alpha counter, like with the assist you can break, but they really need more of that to kind of like shut down a lot of the zoning going on in the game.
Yeah, that's kind of what a little frustrates me, is that like I don't know. I think one of the biggest complaints about old MK was that I'm like, this is too vortexy. Specials are too overpowered. We want a neutral footsie-based fighting game.
Guess what?
They made a neutral footsie-based fighting game, and people are like, this is in Mortal Kombat 11, and people are like, this is too stale. And like, Mortal Kombat 11 still had some bullshit, but it's like, what do you want us to do? Because like, I think there are people who want neutral in footsie-based fighting in an MK. Which in an MK that's really hard to do because there's already so much bullshit people can do anyway. But like that would be cool, but it's like, okay, then how do we put it in the game and make it balanced? And like, you know what I mean? Because like I think it's on part of the developers. I think neutral in 11, although it was definitely 11. 11 does have neutral. It feels kind of stale because I think the way MK does neutral, I've heard it feels kind of stale, like the animations, the way you fight. It's something about their input system. I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't feel like Street Fighter neutral. Yeah, but like
I don't think it should, but yeah. I mean, like so part of So I'll say this. So the problem with MK is that the buttons always feel really chunky, and like there's not
like you
a
hold
lot
animations for too long. Like, what do you mean chunky?
Like. Bro, there's no else.
Yeah,
I don't know how else to explain it other than like you kick them and they go like ooh, and then you can't like there are a lot of like the light normals or crouching normals are just used as like a poking tool to get people to open up to an overhead. It's not like in Street Fighter where Pocket Bravery I was showing you, like where I can run up to somebody, I can do like light into like medium heavy uppercut, whatever. That's not really how it works. Most of the time it's sort of just like, oh, this you just do a string and then but that does not connect to a light. most of the time.
Unless
it's like part of a string. Does that make sense? So it's like this one. So like a lot of times, like the lights that you throw out are not cancelable into other things. Like you can cancel it, but most of the time it's not going to like get into any kind of big damage, unless it's like specifically like really good moves that each character has. But most of the time they really want you to work towards an overhead is what it feels like, or a low,
or like by overhead you also mean like a launcher, stuff like that.
There's not a whole lot of hard, what feels, and this is all very, mind you, this is like coming from someone who's a very like not used to Mortal Kombat, like surface level kind of like first week type mentality, but this is just sort of I know. I think that is kind of the weird complaint about MK is that like I don't think they necessarily missed the point on 1, because I think 1 answers a lot of the things people complained about 11. It also kind of combines a lot of their systems in good ways, but it's still not. I don't think they still like fixed their neutral problem, or like what people want neutral to feel like in Mortal Kombat. And of course, this is a day -4 complaint, but like even watching some tournaments, I'm like, okay, so this feels very injustice-y, and this feels very, the screen's bigger, and you got some cool things from 11, but like, I still feel like you didn't fix the problem of like no neutral in Mortal Kombat, and like I don't know how to fix that problem. Just saying it never got solved. Like it's like they fixed all the old stuff that people are complaining about, but you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. Yeah. Okay, so here's my thing. I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's a problem. I think personally I would love to see more like buttons get confirmed into like lights get confirmed into other things.
I think that's part of the problem though. It's the feel.
Yeah, I think it would make things a lot more interesting. But I also can see how like not every fighting game needs to have that, and MK is its own thing that has its own corner of its own. And so that's why I'm just like, okay, fine. That's your thing, MK. You can have that. I don't particularly like that about your series, but hey, people love your game. You're the most popular fighting game out there right now. Apparently it's good. So everyone can have it, whatever. I do, but do I get annoyed with like certain things? Like if I feel like I'm never, I don't know, like I'm only plus when I'm doing strings. Do I like that? No. Do I want to be able to like get in your face and like hit light buttons and like, are you gonna press and then punish you for pressing?
Yes. Yeah. There's no RP. The RPS isn't the same. Yeah.
So like even when but to pressure you, it would almost be like I would have to do a specific target combo to pressure you a little bit and not finish it, and then hope that you. It just feels so chunky. It's always gonna feel chunky. I don't know how else to explain it. But I would.
So rather than like a Street Fighter based fighter where a lot of the footsies is to bait someone into making a move that's suboptimal so you can punish, Mortal Kombat just feels like offense, just like maybe side change, offense. It doesn't feel like you're fighting in like the like baiting, trick, deception kind of, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like that same like Yomi style fighting that Street Fighter is known for. And also the weird hit stop animation stuff too.
It feels very linear. I'll say that. Yeah. It feels like the combos and like your routes and everything like that feel linear, and it feels like you're only gonna get I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a vroom vroom. I'm getting in my car going fast. Like I'm never gonna be like let's fucking go when I'm playing MK. I don't know. It just never gives me that sort of
it's
like.
It's a different feel. It's a different feel. And I'm just saying like I don't know if MK could ever fix the problem, because MK, like honestly, I think people shit on MK for the wrong reasons and don't praise MK for the right reasons, because MK. I gotta say, it probably is the most complex fighting game ever made. Like, there's just so much fucking going on in every, like, not in terms of mechanics, in terms of like the shit they allowed you to do is nuts. Because like, think about it, like they're one of the only fighting games that were like, sure, we'll let you pick your entire move setup, and we'll try to balance it. It's insane, but we'll try, and like we'll let you take that online. Like, no one else is gonna do that because it is nuts. It's an insane challenge for balancing. And like, it's not even just that, but it's like, okay, so now we're gonna make Marvel, and we're gonna make MK, and we're gonna give a ton of mechanics. Like, of course, MK is probably the only video game out there with like a insane budget. Like, they have WB dollars. Like, it's probably like the most expensive in terms of like budget given to make fighting game ever. But like, the devs are always super ambitious with what they try to do. Do I feel like they miss the mark sometimes on how I want it to feel or how some of the community wants it to feel? Yeah, but I mean, in terms of just like a lot of the freedom and creativity they put in the systems, very cool. Is the system well designed? I don't know, but they do try to give you a lot, and like, you know what I mean. I feel like that's never appreciated, for right or for wrong.
I just wish there was like there was like more exciting ways to open people up other than I'm gonna keep hitting this low until you die.
And I think that's the problem. I think the ways to open people up feel boring because it ends up inevitably being like, I'm gonna use this 50-50 to open you up, and not a like, I'm gonna trick you into making a bad move and then open you up. Like, it feels like the open up mechanic is like, well, I'm gonna make you coin flip, not I'm gonna make you see or do the wrong thing, overplay your hand, and then get messed up. You know what I mean? Like, the entire like neutral strategy of opening someone up is just different, and it feels less, I'm not gonna say it's less intellectual because that's the wrong word, but it feels less
exciting. Like, it just feels less exciting. That's all.
It feels less kind of like, it feels less, you know, tricks and counterplays of a lot of fighting games.
And like, I have to say this, I am not an MK player, so this is just like all coming from surface level hot take, like, you know,
fun take, you know, like, this is like outside looking in. I actually know next to nothing about the game, so don't take my opinion. But I mean, fair. From the semi-casual, the person who enjoys other fighting games and watches other fighting games, trying to articulate a lot of the complaints I've heard about MK, it's that MK neutral does not feel like other game neutral, and I think people find that frustrating. Because MK is just a lot of like plus 50-50 plus,
especially when jumping isn't like particularly good. Like, it feel like that's just another thing where it's like cross-ups are a thing, but they don't feel like they're a thing, and I don't really care for the way that they do
button,
that.
So can you have cross-ups in a game with a block button? Like, I think that's always the question.
Yeah, I mean, people try to anti-air you. You have I get it. I get why they don't have cross-ups, but even Injustice had cross-ups and that had a block button.
So wait, I don't want to get off topic because we're way off topic already.
Fine. Yeah.
But like, how in a game, again, casual question, how do cross-ups work in a game with a block button? Because won't the system auto default you to blocking on the right side, or does it not do that?
If
I don't remember mechanically how that works.
So yeah, it like auto corrects, it auto blocks to the side that you're not.
So how do you cross someone up though?
If they crouch.
Oh.
If they're crouching, it's still a cross up. If they press a button, it's still a cross up. If they try to like react to your jump in, and like you're on the other side, it counts as a cross up. So, yeah, cross ups are still very much a thing. It's just like, I still think that I know it's so stupid. I just still prefer like a back button, but but also I don't, because I don't mind Virtua Fighter and I don't mind Soul Calibur, that both have a block button. That
but those are 3Ds. The complexity and everything else is just different. Like, comparing 3D to 2D is not the same in terms of like the mental stack of managing and doing things in 3 dimensions is just different.
Well, we can't speak on that. To be fair, you can't speak on that because you don't play either of those games.
You know, I've dabbled in Soul Calibur. I have more hours in Soul Calibur than I have in Tekken.
Yeah, but like I wouldn't consider yourself a Soul Calibur player. To be fair,
but like, I mean, I don't consider most people a Soul Calibur player until they have at least like 100 hours in the game. But I mean, that's just, you know, that's just whatever.
Either way, I'm just saying, like, I understand that this is kind of a null argument. I personally don't. I just wish that.
Yeah.
Whatever. MK's a weird. MK's a different animal.
Final question.
We'll do an MK review fully.
We will do an MK review eventually because this is.
We'll do one next week.
Yeah, this is way off topic. It's just I've been hyped by the even pre-day one MK1 hotness. Right. But what I will ask is if MK changed their whole button setup that they've had for years.
Yes.
And made their game a hold back to block.
Yes.
Do you think it would fix a lot of the problems of how MK feels?
I think if they added they made jump-ins better, and I think if they had like better ways to handle zoning, I think it would be a better game.
Okay.
And that's just
I think keep going. Sorry,
but that's not fair because that's coming from someone who only plays like 2D Japanese games like KOF and Street Fighter, and so like I did not grow up playing MK, and so my problem is that it's a different animal that now. It is a different animal. It's a different breed of fighting game. This is again hot take city, but I do think that if they dropped the hold the single button to block, it made it hold block to block, people would be a lot more scared of like weird side to side stuff, and it might slow down the neutral anymore and kind of give back some traditional neutral feeling. It would make the game so first of all, from what I've seen so far with the things that like Sonic Fox are coming up with, I'm grateful that it has a block button.
Oh, damn right. You're damn right.
I'm grateful that it has a block button. Okay. Yo, Jeremiah, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated, man. Yep. So yeah, I'm grateful that MK has a block button now that things kind of gotten crazy.
You can get jumped by 3 dudes in the night playing MK now.
Yeah, exactly. Yo, Jeremiah, we basically we're just getting started with the Pocket Bravery review. Basically, we kind of just got off track with the first conversation we're having.
Sidetrack.
Yeah.
Take the long way around in this.
Take the long way around. But yeah, so anyway, guys, welcome to the Backlog Podcast number 63. I'm Matt.
I am August.
And today we're going to be doing our big Pocket Bravery review. Man, I really enjoyed this game. I know I got to play a lot of it. I know you really didn't.
Yeah, I came over and watched you play some of it and asked you about the mechanics. So it looks mad fun.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Quintessence, who had reviewed the game, could not be here today. But yeah, I've been really enjoying the game quite a bit. I personally think the fix the pocket. Oh, pocket. Oh, never mind. I see it now. I see the mistake. Here, let me just fix this here.
That's why you should subscribe to Grammarly. Use code backlog12.
Yeah, right. No pockets. But yeah, man, I've been really enjoying this game quite a bit, and it's like, I don't know how else to explain it other than, kind of looking into the backstory of the actual game itself. Like how much love was put into making this game and how much, it shows. I don't know if you can relate to this or anyone can, but when you were a kid, we all probably got into fighting games because of fighting game lore, right? Did you ever want to make a fighting game when you were a kid?
I think everyone who has played fighting games for a long amount of time, especially even like Melee, and just seeing all the crossovers, just like, yo, I got this game in my head, though. Right?
Yeah. So like I was definitely very much like in that sort of like growing up as a kid. I was so interested in that main protagonist of like, I don't know, Garo or King of Fighters or Street Fighter, and I'm like, man, I want to make my own Ryu and whatever it may be. And like it really like listening to the creators of this game, I believe the creators' name are Jonathan and Anderson. It feels like this is what it was. It was like their childhood dream to make a fighting game. And so this is kind of like what they had come up with, and there's a lot of that sort of like spirit in there. What did you think of the game, man? Did you kind of like?
Yeah, no, as I said, this is you can not just from the art, but from all the mechanics, from watching you play it, from some of the combo routes, the combo system, hell, even the love they put into like the little text box in the tutorial. You can tell so much passion and emotion for enjoying fighting games and went into making this. And I love it. I mean, it's really cool. Like the art style's cool. I think they went with like something that's like classic but still kind of recognizable. With like we used pixel art, but we also wanted it to be, you know, recognizably kind of like our own thing. You know, indie, different, cool looking, something manageable, but also something that looks really hype. You and me watched the like making of art video when we were getting ready for this podcast, and I loved how like they showed how like, yo, we use like pixel art for like the animations of in-fight stuff, but for the, like the supers and cut scenes, we like push it out to like a hand-drawn style that we fill in with pixels, and stuff like that. Like it shows so much love of like, you know, we want to make this cool, we want to make this beautiful and exciting. And we also want to make this hype, and like, you know, you see that love coming through in like the art in so many ways. But I just love that the idea that they wanted to make, you know what I mean? Like you hear a lot of people talk about like indie fighting games this, indie fighting games that. You know, play this one, play that one, because it teaches you the basics of fighting games. It teaches you the yada yada yada. And I like that they're like, no, we're gonna make a fighting game that has a low skill floor, but like the skill ceiling is like pretty high. There's a lot of cool, crazy shit in this game. And yeah, it shows. Like they definitely wanted to make a fighting game that could be enjoyed by mid to high level players, but also has stuff for low level players to get in and feel like it's fun. And I don't really see too many indie fighting games covering that whole space.
Yeah, it definitely does feel very complete, and I can't think of I really can't think of a better traditional fighting game made by an independent company, like that feels this good. You know what I mean? And I know that's probably, there's probably games out there. It's probably blasphemous on my part by saying that, but ones that I know of, I'll say that. This game feels amazing. It has a very specific feel to it. It felt really good. Yeah. But you know, kind of going back to like the creators of the you know, of Pocket Bravery, I really wanted to kind of touch upon like some of the like inspirations that they had, because I mean they were quite apparent as we were playing it. But like they kind of based the characters around like you know, the Gracies and Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, which I thought was really cool. And if you guys didn't know, this was made by like a very much a Brazilian team, and like it shows. And there's it's interesting because, you know, you can always kind of tell where a game comes from by like the main protagonist and the feel, and like, you know what I mean? Like Tekken is very clearly from Japan, right? Tekken is it has that feel. It has a Japanese feel. I don't know how else to explain it. 2D, you know, KOF, again, another kind of very Japanese feeling game. To me, MK is like, that's American. You know what I mean? Street Fighter is Japanese. This game has like such a Brazilian aura to it, like everything about it. And with them, you know, kind of making sure that the characters and everything, and that have like a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu background, or the main character uses capoeira as his fighting style. I think it's like a really cool touch of the game. Everybody speaks Portuguese, you know. Someone was saying while I was doing matches, they're like, oh man, I can't wait until, I hope they come out with like a fan translation or a fan patch. I'm like, no, just leave it as it is, man, because, you know, like it just kind of, I don't know, it represents everything about the game, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like what the game came from, you know, who the game is for, all of that.
Yeah, you can definitely feel the kind of the fighting game loving culture that grew up in it to make this game. I mean, heck, even from as I said, like the backgrounds, like, oh my god,
yeah.
Like, you're in a pixel art, like, I'm not gonna say pixel art porn, but like, oh,
It's very
it's
good. Yeah.
hot. It reminds you of those old like KOF backgrounds where you're just like, yo, if I had to live in pixel art, I would be okay with living in some of these backgrounds. Like, just absolute gorgeous. Like, there's one with like you can see the day-night cycle, and there's a reflection off the water, and it's like, yo, for pixel art, this is insane. This is something else. And yeah, no, I mean, it's gorgeous. And you can feel so much of the love for those retro like 2000s fighting games. You know what I mean?
And I know they were saying that the main characters are the Silvas essentially. I guess it's like Nuno, Hadase, and I can't remember the third character. He's actually going to be a DLC. It's Homero, right? Homero is like very specifically wears like a jujutsu gi, and then like Hadase has like grapples, like she's a pseudo grappler. And it's really cool. So they kind of like went back and like had Brazilian fighting styles as the main characters way of fighting. And so much of their story reminded me of my love for fighting games as a kid. I really felt that when I was listening to them talk about the game. Let's see. So I mean, obviously, like they were saying too, like you said that some of the sprites looked like KOF. I think the overall like feeling of the game reminded me of those Neo Geo like chibi games.
Yep, Neo Geo. Is there Neo Geo Pocket? Like
Neo Geo Pocket games. Yeah. Or even what is it? Pocket Fighter. Super Puzzle Fighter. Yeah. Like that sort of aspect of things where
the chibi art games, but like it's cute, but still like it has the distinct like 2D Capcom or SNK style.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy how much this game pays homage to those two games as well, where the stages, like you said, it looks like a KOF stage, and some of them really are KOF stages, and to so much to the point where I could point out to you like I could go into KOF 98 and I could be like, this is where this stage is, and then even to where it's like, this is like okay, so if you went out this way into this opening, this is where that stage is in Pocket Bravery in KOF 98. Like it's kind of insane how much detail they put into it. Not to mention some of the songs, if anyone out there is like a KOF music fan, some of the songs are very specifically almost a KOF. Like they're like a couple of notes off from ripping off a few songs.
Yeah.
It's kind of insane, like how close they got to.
I mean, which is like low key, like that's like in homage to a like riding the line between homage and ripoff is like a fighting game classic. Because like, didn't we have that long conversation about how like what is it, Ken's theme, which is like the most iconic theme of all fighting games, is like a half rip of some other '80s song or something like that.
It's actually almost directly taken from actually no, it's not. It is ripped off from the Top Gun like theme song.
Yeah. There's like if you listen to them side by side, you're like, oh
yeah,
you're like, okay, yeah, that's cool. I mean, it was the time, you know what I mean? Like I think, I'm sure some Japanese person or whoever did the music saw Top Gun and like, okay, this is American as like, American as fuck. So like, let's like go through and kind of reference each other. But yeah, I mean, I love musical references. Even when I was over your house watching the game, I was like, oh yeah, I'm actually kind of digging his music. You know what I mean? Like it's very, it makes you kind of nostalgic. If you grew up in the era, it makes you really nostalgic for that era and the video games and the music and stuff you played like that. So no, it's great.
Big arcade culture, and of course, like as like we've heard so many times, like in particular, like SNK games in like South America, Central America were like huge in terms of so much so bigger than they were here. Like I've seen some Neo Geo cabs out in the wild, but like apparently they were crazy out there, which is why like a lot of our top 8 or a few of our top 8 KOF players are from Mexico. You know what I mean? Really huge. But yeah, no. So I guess originally during the process of them making this game, the characters were not Pocket characters. They were the sprites were a lot bigger actually. But I guess because of the time constraints that they had and sort of like the budgetary constraints, they had to make it a chibi art style, like we had said before. And I guess they had actually used Scott Pilgrim versus the World as a sort of like template for using like, making HD sprites and bringing them into that sort of thing. Yo, man, are you typing on your keyboard right now?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I was trying to look up specifically what song Ken's theme was a reference to. It's Mighty Wings. The Top Gun soundtrack. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just like a lot of hissing on your side of things.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Just let me know if it keeps up, and is it still going? All right. Yeah. Let me fix my mic. Hopefully that kind of clears it up. I don't know. What about now? Better, worse?
It's
in the middle.
It's kind of, it just depends on what you're using for a microphone.
Oh, I'm using the same microphone I always use. My Blue Snowball, brought to you by Blue.
So in the future, you should probably get a noise gate.
Okay.
I don't know if you. But anyway, so like they use Scott Pilgrim as sort of like a reference for the HD sprites and things, and kind of started to build momentum and decided to kind of like really delve into the Pocket side of things, even to the point of like having that being like one of the more defining factors of the game is obviously its art style. And I think it was smart that they went with that, the chibi Pocket art style of the game. I don't think it would have kind of hit the same if it was just like, bigger sprites.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, it's one of those weird things where like, actually it's been said a million times that, art styles of games kind of they're evergreen. You know what I mean? Like, people would go back and play, like Legend of Zelda, the cell shaded one. Why am I forgetting this? Wind Waker nowadays, and it still holds up. It's like, oh yeah, okay, like this is the art style they chose. It makes it timeless. You know what I mean? You're not like, oh well, these graphics aren't as good as these graphics. You know what I mean? You're just like, okay, this is like this is an art form that I'm playing, and it fits perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of the same way with like, watching games and seeing whether or not kind of the art holds up. I think the more kind of defined art direction you choose, the easier it is for that game to kind of, have its own feel, have its own vibe, have its own flavor. And rather than making this look like, an SF2 or a KOF, they're going to go, it would make it kind of like cozy, make it kind of chibi, make it kind of like a Pocket fighter style, which really isn't that it doesn't come up that often. So it's not like a super saturated medium. And it works perfectly for kind of the indie scene. And it also saves them time, which is like the number one thing of art direction, like save time, save money, and have something that's visually distinct, and iconic. Yeah, go with it. So yeah, it was a great choice.
Yeah, I think like it's one of those things where like the budgetary and time constraints wound up benefiting the game overall than it did hurting it.
I call it the Deadpool 1 effect.
Yeah, the Deadpool 1 effect, right? Where it's just
I'm one of the few people that's like, nah, Deadpool 2 wasn't it. Deadpool 1, or they did have money, that went hard.
But yeah, so like basically I think because of that art style, it started to kind of get momentum. They kind of started to bring more people in. A bigger team. They started kind of growing more and more. And originally it had started, with just those two people. I think Jonathan and Anderson, kind of coming up, like bouncing ideas back and forth. And then, slowly their dream started to kind of build up onto itself. And then, it kind of that's when it started to get the attention of people like Justin Wong, Kizzy K, playing those games on stream, letting other people know about it. And unfortunately, they kind of started to run out of funding at that time, I believe, or somewhere around there. And so they kind of started a Kickstarter, which had also insanely enough failed, right? So, you know, there was a moment there where they weren't sure if they were going to be able to finish the game. But it was at that time where they had found Pixel Heart, who decided to help them publish the game. And I think they published a lot of other like kind of 2D sprites and games of the same style, which is great. And Josh Prod had gotten involved too, who is like a very predominant like retro gaming type guy. And what I love about him is he actually he'll go and he'll like get Breaker's Revenge, right? And he'll be like, okay, I'll buy the rights to Breaker's Revenge. And then he'll take Breaker's Revenge, and he'll be like, I want to make a Dreamcast version of Breaker's Revenge. So he takes it, you know, he owns the rights, and he just basically redistributes the game and puts out Breaker's Revenge in 2020, you know, on the Dreamcast. Knowing well it's for like 10 people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's really funny. It's funny and sad, but like I think it's for a lot of the retro resurgence we're seeing, to even kind of get the ball rolling, it's fans of these franchises that like, okay, well, like let me take it on, put my time, money, and energy into this project, and see if I can push out these remasters, the re-releases of these old games, because I love them, and I know there's a community out there that loves them too, even if it's small. Yeah. So I'm always a fan of, you know, people, you know, getting off the sidelines and trying to you know, make things that are related to things we love. Because I mean, again, you know, I think we grew up in an era and a time where, you know, a lot of these things were the things. They weren't huge. It's still small, but it's something, you know, we like. And anyone who trusts the sports community definitely has my vote. So awesome that they were able to find someone who was like, yeah, actually this is dope, let me help you guys put it out.
Yeah, right. I mean, definitely a miracle with them, you know, kind of selling part of the company, finding someone to help publish it. And without those two things happening, it's highly doubted that we would actually see Pocket Bravery here now. And we wouldn't be able to play the game. So, I mean,
also shout outs to, sorry, I'll let you.
No, shout outs to them. Yeah, shout outs to them for sure.
Shout out to them. Shout outs to their supporter, as you said, J-Prod. What's his name?
Josh Prod.
Yeah. And shout outs to, like, you know, game devs putting out like demos. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still on the, like, I say this every time, or I don't say this every time, but in my head I say it every time, that the best way to sell your game is put out a slice of your game that people enjoy. And demos were the way to do that back in the day. They've been the way to do it for years, and they still should be the way they do that, because like show people a little bit of what they're buying and why they should be hyped. And I mean, that got the ball rolling for them. So shout out to them for you know, making something awesome and sharing it with all of us.
Yeah, man. Like, think about how many games Pizza Hut sold. Really, you know what I mean? Like, you know, there's like Pizza Hut, Pizza Hut demo disc.
Ooh,
you know,
boy. I still remember Crash Bandicoot eats stuffed crust pizza backwards, and also Crash Bandicoot Racing is an awesome game. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, I remember, man, I had like a gaming magazine. I can't remember which one it was, but I had gotten it, and it had like a little Game Shark on it too for the PS2. So I had like unlock everything on the bouncer. It had like, you know, Devil May Cry like demo, all that stuff. You know.
Yeah, I remember that, like, I think different things used to give out the, like, Tony Hawk Pro Skater cheat codes, and I was like, oh, yo! Moon Gravity? Say less.
Well, yeah, so, kind of moving on here. Speaking of the, funding the game, they, of course, they have a Kickstarter, which, kind of fully details everything that is going on with the game currently, everything that they kind of like went through from the start. And I think this team has done a fantastic job at like continuously, patching, working on the game. I remember, I think like last week or the week before, I had touched it. The lobbies were a little buggy. And then the next time I touch it, it's a little bit better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of the menus have
definitely trying to put their game into working shape for the people who play it. Absolutely.
Yeah, the menus, in training mode have a little bit more pizzazz now. They look a little bit better, right? So like every time, they're incrementally getting this game to where it should be, which, it definitely could take some hits on some stuff. And I think that'll, it's not a perfect game by any sense of the mean, but it's sort of like the No Man's Sky type, mentality where it's like, yes, the game, and this is not to say anything about Pocket Bravery, but yeah, No Man's Sky was not perfect, but it definitely got better and still is getting better as the game goes on.
Because the devs cared about it and support it post-release.
Yeah.
You get the game that you always wanted. And not only that, but you get more than the game you always wanted. Because, again, the more support, it's a reciprocal relationship. It's a feedback between the devs and the fans. And the more support that can go both ways, the better game you get in the end. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think... And just kind of like going through and playing the game, I could feel definitely how much passion they were putting into this and how much work they had, they really kind of put into the game. So I couldn't really knock it. And, but yeah, so with that, they had also kind of announced some DLC characters, and I believe there's 3 of them right now. There's Brandon Carter, who's like this soldier kind of black dude. He looks super rad. He kind of looks like he looks like Blade, kind of. I don't know what his fighting style is going to be. There's not much information about him yet.
Yeah, it looks like, based on my KOF knowledge, probably like hybrid grappler maybe. But I'm still very excited.
Maybe. So there, and then there's Sunji Sung, and I actually was looking through in the behind the scenes thing, and I guess this was the first character that they actually had created for the game. And so now they're making a Pocket Bravery chibi version of him, and he's going to be a DLC character. And then Homero Silva, who is Nuno and Hadase's like brother, who's like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu grappler guy, who looks really cool. He kind of looks like Grappler from, the best way I could describe him is he looks like Grappler from DNF Duel, like a cool version of him, even though like Grappler looks cool. Like he looks just like him, but if he was a Brazilian or something, I don't know. I think it looks dope. And then they also had said that they were going to have a color editing mode, like something like a la CVS2, where in that game you could be like, I want my team to have all black, black clothes, whatever it may be. So, I mean, I thought that was really cool too. Some of the stretch goals that they had hit. But yeah, I think other than that, the game is about another really great thing about the game is it's very cheap, right? It's only $20 for the base game. It's $30 with the DLCs. Is the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah, you get all the prominent characters. Yeah. Yeah,
all the characters, which I feel like is really great. So I kind of listed out the DLC here. It comes out, launch 13 characters, 20 stages. Future DLC, they're going to be releasing 8 additional characters, 8 stages, 8 OST songs, and of course, like with that, arcade endings and stuff like that. Which to me felt like a really great deal. I mean, for $30 for all of that stuff, that's pretty amazing. There are codes. I don't have them up here, but there are codes you can use to unlock a couple of the characters inside the game. They did feel a little bit buggy when we were playing them online. We did notice some crashing when people would pick the boss character or something.
Even more, I think, isn't there like a secret code for like a Rainbow Edition mode? Like, I don't know if any of you guys remember the classic Street Fighter Rainbow Edition, but the whole new about that is back in the day, Street Fighter is the most popular game in the arcades. And on the low, some people couldn't get it or didn't want to pay full price for it. So some modders put out some like we're gonna sell some like fake versions of the game, but with like cool new combos.
Is that how what happened?
Put that out. Yeah. Rainbow Edition wasn't legit. Rainbow Edition was made by some like ROM hackers that wanted to just like put out their own version of the game. And some people bought it for cheap, not knowing it wasn't an official Street Fighter version. So you got some weird stuff, some crazy combos. I think there's like some weird like guile handcuffing bug where like you could get guile to attach to you to like do some crazy combos to like take people out.
That's just a bug in so that is just a bug in the first Street Fighter.
Oh, it's a bug in the first
Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 2. So wait, so what does Rainbow Edition have to do with this though?
Yeah, so there's a Rainbow Edition mode of as far as I was reading in Pocket Bravery, there's a Rainbow Edition mode of Pocket Bravery where they added like new combos and stuff like that, but you can only get it by like unlocking it or some code or something like that. Yeah.
That's insane. I had no idea that was a thing. So wait, so you can just kind of go nuts. Like I mean, I hope so. I hope.
Yeah. I'll send you the article. I thought you were the one who would have found it, but because I was just googling out stuff of the game. But yeah, I'll send you the thing. But yeah, no, they wanted to kind of like an homage to the whole like Rainbow Edition thing because I'm pretty sure the Rainbow Edition ROM hack. It might have come from South America. I can't remember. Long story short, everyone loved it because it was like, oh, it's more Street Fighter but crazier combos. Sign me up. Yeah, so yeah, they made a Rainbow Edition of Pocket Bravery, as far as I understand, inside their own game. So you get the main game and you get like a little bonus.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. So but yeah, I would say, dang. But like overall, other than the Rainbow Edition, I would say that the gameplay is super solid, and I would be interested to see how that mode is going to play. I'm definitely going to mess around with that when it comes out.
Yep.
But I think like the thing that really kind of brings everything together is, you know, the characters all being incredibly unique and well thought out. Everyone has a very unique gameplay style that has like homages to other characters, not only in sort of like the way that they play, but in their costume colors too. So to give you an idea, I play a character named Sebastian so far, and he has like 3 colors that pay homage to other fighting game characters, right? Or well, some fighting game characters. One's Little Mac from Punch Out. He has a Balrog color costume. He has Vegeta from the Buu Saga. Like he's got a costume from Vegeta the Buu Saga. Like a lot of kind of like cool little nods.
Like when he was wearing his blue pimp suit.
Yeah. And I think Hadase even has like a rogue costume, right? You know, like little things like that to kind of like really show how much they love fighting games. But to kind of get into the gameplay a little bit, the gameplay is very much a hybrid between, you know, Street Fighter and KOF, right? Where it has like, you know, very quick lows. It's got 2 supers and then kind of like these 2 EX meters, right?
It's a 4-button fighter, right?
Yeah, it's a 4-button fighter. Yeah. It's a 4-button fighter, and so, but it's really kind of based around the EX meter that allows you to do 2 kind of cancels, right? So you have like a special cancel, where it's like you can do a special and do a super, or you can do a elemental cancel, where it's like you can do a like a special into like an EX with some certain move types. So kind of like opens things up into like how you can kind of express yourself in combo types. And not only that, but like your elemental, which everyone kind of has elemental, right? Like Nuno has like sunshine, or I think it's like sun or light or something. Sebastian has ice. Other people have like different forms and things like that. Like to give you an example, like probably the best kind of, you know, example for elemental would be Sebastian, where he's able to kind of like, you know, throw up a pillar of ice, and this pillar, you know, sets a wall between you and the opponent. And now you can do things like you can kind of hit him and you knock him into it and combo into other things to kind of like build momentum and damage on the character, and so everyone has this sort of unique style that they use in the game. That, well, at least that the elemental kind of like, allows you to access.
Yeah, if any of you guys ever played like Killer Instinct, kind of like Agnos's stuff, where you can like put up like pillars anywhere and like you can like corner someone mid-screen. He's kind of got something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as I said,
Sure.
watch you play it, and that's what it reminded me of. But yeah, no, it's cool. I like, again, like it's got, EX. I like that they kind of did the separation of the EX meter from the super meter. I know that's kind of a thing that's kind of evolved lately. I know, like I think Street Fighter 6 does a similar thing, but it's cool because it lets you kind of do. You still get a super at the end of the day, so you can still get you crazy stuff. But also lets you do some like big attacks mid round to try to win back the round. So it's a cool idea.
Yeah, they do also have like desperation supers as well, which is like when your health is like below a certain amount, right? It's got like maybe you got 30% left. I believe it's about 30%, and then you can do kind of like a move that uses all your EX meter, and I think it uses all your EX meter. It might use a bar of super meter. I could be wrong though. To kind of like do a lot of damage and kind of just kind of hit it out of the park there for the ending. But yeah, it's sort of like the relation between using your supers and your elemental meter, and kind of in your desperation to mix people up and do lots of damage, to kind of bring it all together. It also does have like alpha counters or reversals that you can use the elemental with the elemental meter as well, where if like somebody hits you or puts you in a mix up that you do not like at any point, with elemental meter, you can kind of push them away from you. And a lot of games have that nowadays, right? It feels like a built-in function to most fighting games is the alpha counter. They're bringing it back, dude.
Yeah, again, it's I think a lot of people are responding to the fact that like it's a very awkward feeling in fighting games to just be held down by someone's insane pressure. So I think an alpha counter was always kind of a good mechanic to just be like, nope, get off me. Like, I'm taking my turn back. I'll spend some meter to do it, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, alpha counters are cool. I still miss the animation from actually alpha where you like spun them up in the air and stuff. That was kind of sick. But yeah, I think again, like the guard reversals or whatever the generic name for alpha counters are is a solid defensive mechanic.
Yeah, for sure. But the game is looking really good. I'm trying to think here. What would I give the game if I could kind of give it a rating out of 10? See, this is hard for me.
So I would just ask again, as a pitch for the game, it's like, if you want a good, cozy fighting game that's fun, that you can play with your friends, that you can play it online, that still has a decent skill ceiling, you know what I mean? It's not like, I'm going to immediately figure this game out and then be bored. No, it's a sick game. Like, you can do some cool stuff in it. You also can just be like, I know nothing about fighting games, get in, press buttons, and feel kind of cool. Yeah. And from what you were explaining, I think the tutorial system is pretty solid too, right? It does teach you a lot of the basic fighting game ideas.
Yeah, it goes through how to use the meter, the basic combo system, how to move. And then it actually even has it has like what's the word I'm looking for?
Glossary, or teaches
a glossary. Yeah, it teaches you terminology, which I think is something important for like newer players to learn, because a lot of times, people are just gonna say things,
especially with like, if you're trying to hop into fighting games from like elsewhere, or like you've played even one fighting game. Like, so many fighting games use different words for the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But there are things that are very similar in fighting games. You have to figure if it's actually the same thing or just a similar thing.
Yeah.
So actually knowing like the word or what word they use is super helpful in any context, because you can take it and usually apply it to other games and you have an idea of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So any game that's going to teach you the words for things, not just like, oh, this is the motion, gets a vote in my book, because sometimes I need to know how to explain something to someone else, and I'm like, I don't know, I just press you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just saying you press buttons isn't good enough. So I like that they're trying to teach fighting games while also showing you how to enjoy this game. It's cool.
Yeah, I think I had a friend over, and I was always, and he doesn't necessarily play fighting games on the regular, and I was like, I would say the word punish, and I'm like, does he know what the word punish mean? Because I'm not saying he's dumb or anything, but it's like, punish. What does that terminology mean? And it's like, and then I gotta stop and think, like, does he know what a cross up is? Should I explain this terminology to him? Because some people will just be like, yeah, I'm not gonna tell him I don't know what that is. And I think it's an important aspect that gets overlooked quite often. Is terminology.
Yeah, terminology and intent of what you're trying to do. Like, I mean, even then, like, if you never heard the word punish in fighting games, it's like, what? Okay, what does that mean? It's like, okay, well, they're clearly. I mean, the robot me wants to say, well, they're minus now, so just hit up. But the actual like human way to describe it is like, okay, so they can't move because they've done a motion that now puts them in a negative position. So you can now attack them with a full combo, and you have a window to do it. It's your window of opportunity where they can't be defensive anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, being able to explain those ideas in fewer words than less, and maybe have a visual, could be huge to get someone to understand fighting games, because not everyone's going to immediately understand what punish means or why a punish happens, and when to punish, or when to take your turn back in any game that's willing to like show you that, but also give you the words that we mostly commonly use. It's nice.
Yeah, for sure. But I will say, like, some of the kind of the downsides of the game in general, and are the fact that it's still, since it is made by a small team, it is a kind of buggy game. I'll say that. We ran into a lot of issues with matchmaking and with lobbies in general, where I think more than 3 to 5 times our lobby crashed, or someone couldn't join, or there was like a lobby bug. Games crashed in the middle of a lobby. It was really a lot of where the issues had come from in the game. But I mean, that's a very hard thing to do, to get down as like the online of a game. And I think it's unfortunate, because I hope it doesn't hurt the game too much, a game to like launch, and but I think it does have rollback too. So I mean, that's at least something, right?
It's one of those things that's a little frustrating, because it's like, there is a lot of moving parts.
Yes. Yeah.
To video game networking mechanics, having a good lobby, having a functional lobby. Even if you have everything perfect in terms of the coding, people still have to play your game for the lobby to be populated. So like, you can do everything right, and if there's just not enough people playing your game, it's like, what do you do now? Do I like put some bots in there and be like, tell people you're playing a bot? Like, what do you even do?
Yeah.
I think a lot of online games kind of suffer from this, is a player population problem. But a non-significant part of video game problems is that network gaming is hard. Network coding is hard. It's not simple. It's not cheap. And for an indie studio, I could be good at making the functions and making the sprites, but network coding is hard, and that's not my specialty. So it's like, it can cost a lot, and it can be outside of someone's skill set to get. So like, I just feel bad for a lot of these games that, are great, but don't have good online. But it's like, we didn't know who to talk to. Whereas, I have less love for big studios. It's like, okay, you had the money, you should have figured this out by now. I have a little bit more patience for small studios and be like, listen, we made this project we're really passionate about. It's good. We're just not great at online yet. Yeah. But we're willing to work on it. So, I mean, if they're willing to No Man's Sky it and at least get it up to the point where it's like peak, I'm really happy for them. That said, I hope people don't give up on the game, and I hope people do try out the lobbies. Because, like, even when I was hanging out with you yesterday, like, the lobby said 0-0, and then you
There
got
were-
like 3 matches while I was there. So it's like there are people playing the game. It's just everything is a little influx right now.
Yeah, it said that there wasn't anyone playing, but I was getting matches. There was also some other weird issues where I would change my button layout, right? Where I'm the type of person where if I can help it, I like to change my buttons to have button combinations instead of having one button, right? Like in Dragon Ball, right? If you press both, I think it's like launcher and kick maybe, or heavy or something like that, you get Dragon Rush. I could be wrong. I don't remember. But that is an actual, on most controllers, that's designated to be one button. I like to take those off when I'm playing a fighting game, if I'm playing on an arcade stick. So what I tried to do was I took off all the shortcuts and I made it so, okay, so here's my controller, we're good now, right?
Yeah.
Well, the game would not let me play it without having the default button layout on.
Yep.
So that was a couple of patches ago. I haven't checked it again, but that was one thing. Another problem we had was if anyone picked the boss character, Hector, it would typically crash the lobby. I don't know if this is because we used the code to unlock the hidden
powerful
characters.
for the lobby.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal with that was, but I mean, I know that they're working on it, and what I can say this, for $20 to $30 for this game, I feel like I could let the lobby and the bugs slide. You know what I mean? I feel like I could let it slide.
A little bit. Yeah.
But you got to let that kind of be your deciding factor. I personally think that this game deserves all the love and praise that it needs, to kind of like have a future and to have a competitive scene.
These are the devs you want to support because, I mean, clearly, they were balling on a budget to make this game and they made a really cool product and good product.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you continue to support them, you'll see more stuff out of them like that, more love and support. And as I said, I would love to see these guys next game or the game after that or the game after that. Because, I mean, just like any industry, I think, especially indie ones, these people get better as they go along, as they get more experience. I think this is their second game.
It's the second game.
Yeah, the studio was founded in 2020. So these guys are clearly doing it for the love of game making and video games and making things people enjoy. And I definitely think you gotta support that, man. Like, I think it's one of those things where, like, nowadays there are so many options, which is good and bad. But I mean, like, now you gotta I think now the choice is on you as a consumer to be like, okay, what kind of devs do I want to support?
Yeah.
And like what type of scene within the game development do I want to support? And there's also just really cool small people out there making awesome stuff. And it's like, if they did this on a limited budget, like, what could they do with more and, like, just kind of have more experience? So this is fun. Try it. It's fun. For $20, that's like 2 Big Macs at the market.
Two
the
Big Macs.
Yeah, well, the meals, you got to get the large fries too.
You got it.
Yes, have some for now, have some for later. But yeah, I mean,
I feel like
yeah.
Sorry. I feel like for $20, yeah, it's probably worth the try. And honestly, it has good online when it does work. It feels great.
Yeah.
You can't really knock that.
Yeah. I mean, most places have figured out rollback at least. So I mean, that is part of the implementation. It felt good. It's just, player lobbies, player populations, stuff like that. I think maybe some of the display stuff. But it's a fun game. It's a fun game.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'd say for $20 it's worth a try. And it's definitely like, this is one of those things that, like, if it come out 10 years ago, everyone would be like, oh yeah, this is greatest indie fighting game ever. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where, like, coming in now, there's a lot of content. It could get drowned in it, but it's absolutely something that's pretty darn cool. And just try it out.
Absolutely. And I'm actually gonna, like, here in the description, I'm going to link the team Cetera. I believe that's the team is called. The team, the production company. Satera Discord, and you guys can go in there. They have like character guides and things like that. But a lot of people have been making guides here online, like Rufflemonger and other people that you can learn the game. And you know, at least before MK1 came out, which I'm sure a lot of people are focused on right now.
This is an insane year for not just fighting game releases, but video game releases. So it's really hard to, not just lose focus and bounce around. But no, this is if you want like a cozy but fun, but like you could still play fighting game.
Yeah.
Check this out.
But yeah, man. Before we wrap this up, August, is there anything else you wanted to shout out here before we kind of close things out?
No, I mean, obviously, I could, repeat the adage, support your locals if you have locals. If not, from your own online local, you know what I mean? Or just like try to find people around you, either here or online, that like the same games you do, and then you have a community to play with. Play with people that you can find easily, however you can find them. I think, you'll enjoy fighting games more like that. You probably become a better player like that, but at the very least, you'll have fun doing what you like. That said, I mean, just enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy the games. Enjoy life. Do what you gotta do.
Yeah. So until then, guys, this has been the Backlog Podcast number 63. We'll see you soon, y'all. Peace out.
Peace.
Bye-bye.